We play and call it work.
Hey everybody, Matthew here from MiniBoardGaming.com, and welcome to another video that is going to explain some of the changes from 8th edition 40k to 9th edition 40k. We've already covered the movement phase and the shooting phase. In this video, here are 10 things that have changed in the close combat phases of the game. Number 1, charging multiple units. If you declare a charge against multiple units, then you only succeed on that charge if you roll high enough to come into engagement range of everything that you charge. So you can no longer just choose the nearest unit and something else for safety, because you've got to make it to all of your targets. Number 2, charge order. In 8th edition, if this squad of Assault Marines charged the Necron Warriors, the first model to move would have to move within an inch. In 9th edition, that is no longer the case. You simply move the Assault Marines in such a way that they are in engagement range of the Necron Warriors. That means the first guy could move not into engagement range as long as you end the charge in engagement range and in unit coherency. Number 3, Overwatch. A welcome addition to speed up the game, Overwatch is no longer nearly as powerful. While it functions exactly the same as in 8th edition, where you fire and hit on 6s, except with weapons that could automatically hit, you can only do it if you spend 1 command point on the Overwatch stratagem. That means that, except for some armies like the Tau, only 1 enemy unit is going to be able to Overwatch when you perform all of your charges. Number 4, defensible terrain. Talking about the changes of terrain is going to take an entire video, but here's one little snippet. Some terrain has a feature called defensible terrain, such as these woods. When a unit is inside defensible terrain, when they are declared as a charge target, they have 2 choices. They can actually fire Overwatch and hit on 5s instead of 6s, or they can hold steady and in the ensuing fight phase get +1 to their hit rolls. Number 5, defense line terrain. Another terrain trait is defense line, such as these pipes. You'll also get it with barricades or with walls or with Aegis defense lines. If an enemy unit is within 1 inch of this terrain feature, you can still make a charge move against it so long as a charging unit ends its charge move touching that and within 2 inches of the enemy. Furthermore, you are eligible to fight if you are within 2 inches of the enemy and not the ½ inch that we are going to be seeing in just a moment. Number 6, who fights first? Charging units still fight first, and there's still a 2 command point stratagem to allow you to interrupt that as well. However, one significant change that is going to have a great impact is if there are no charging units, or once all charging units have finished fighting, it is your opponent and not you who chooses who fights first. Typically, it was whoever's turn it was got to choose a unit to fight with. Now it is your opponent who gets to choose. The significance here is probably going to show itself a lot in the future, but one thing that comes to mind right away is that if you charge with a unit and fight, and then that combat is still going on in the following turn, you can actually choose to have that same unit that charged fight first because it's no longer your turn, giving even more strength to charging units. Number 7, which models can fight? In 8th edition 40k, you were eligible to fight if you were within 1 inch of an enemy model, or within 1 inch of one of your models that was within an inch of an enemy model. Now, you have to be within ½ an inch of an enemy model, or within ½ an inch of a model who is within ½ an inch of an enemy. Furthermore, you can also fight if you are in engagement range. So this demonstration that we have here shows you who can and cannot fight. If we look at the Assault Marines, assuming they've already piled in, this Assault Marine is within ½ an inch of a Necron Warrior. These 2 Assault Marines are within ½ an inch of him. So all 3 of these Assault Marines can fight. Furthermore, this Assault Marine up here is within an inch and within 5 inches of the model below. In other words, he is able to fight as well. Now, this model could be an inch away, but if he was, then these 2 models would not be eligible to fight, because he's in engagement range, but they are not within ½ an inch of a model within ½ an inch. Furthermore, this sergeant up here with the Thunderhammer, he's within ½ an inch of this model, but this model is not within ½ an inch of the enemy. If it seems confusing, just think of it 2 ways. Check first, is the model in engagement range, which is 1 inch horizontally and 5 inches vertically? If it is, it can fight. If it's not, is it within ½ an inch of a friendly model who's within ½ an inch of an enemy? Yes, he can fight. No, he cannot. Number 8, fighting models that heroically intervened. If you think back to one of the previous changes where you must get into engagement range of every unit that you declare to charge against, you might think that characters are much better protected. In a sense they are, except in one situation. If a character at the end of the enemy's charge phase decides to heroically intervene, then he is eligible to be fought by the Assault Marines in this case, even though they did not declare him as a charge target. In other words, if you made a charge move, you can only fight the units that you declared charges against, or units that performed a heroic intervention this turn. Number 9. Maximums and minimums to modifiers. We already discussed this in the shooting phase video, but it bears repeating. There are no ways to get the modifiers to hit or wound rolls better than +1 or -1. So, for example, if the Necrons had charged the Assault Marines and they were holding steady, they would get +1 to their hit rolls. If they had a psychic power on them, such as Prescience, which gave them another +1 to hit, then they would have +2 to their hit rolls, which would then get reduced to +1. You can never get better than +1 and never worse than -1 after all the modifiers have been put in place to your hit and wound rolls. Note, this is only to your hit and wound rolls. Saving throws can still be reduced by more than 1 if the AP of the weapon is -2, -3, or better. Number 10. Allocating wounds. Again, one that was mentioned in the shooting phase video, but that is very important as well for close combat. If this Necron Lord uses his Staff of Light to fight, and you decide to allocate those attacks onto the Sergeant with a Thunderhammer and Storm Shield, even if it does no wounds, if it does not manage to get through his armor, then you have to continue allocating wounds to that Sergeant with Stormhammer or Thunderhammer and Storm Shield against any other attacks for the rest of that phase. In 8th edition, it was only if the wound went through and got through the save, which in this case would kill him. But if they had multiple wounds, you'd have to continue allocating to that same one. But in 9th edition, as soon as you allocate a wound to that model for the rest of the phase, you must continue doing so. That's it for our 10 changes in the close combat phases of 9th edition 40K. Did I miss anything? What do you love? What do you hate? What do you think will affect your army the most? Let us know in the comments below. And stay tuned for more 9th edition 40K coverage. This is Matthew from Mini Wargaming. Happy Wargaming.
Hey everybody, heads up, the Mini Wargaming Vault. Josh and I are going to play a game for the first time in forever in person. He's going to play as Custodes against my Dark Angels mechanized list. That will be in the Mini Wargaming Vault. Watch this bat rip, enjoy it, watch the next one.